The film begins with the voice of a young girl named Scarlett Schur, who recounts a tragedy that struck the small town of Maybrook 2 years prior. On an early Wednesday morning, precisely at 2:17, 17 students from Miss Justine Gandy's second grade class emerged from their beds. They exited their homes in unison, arms extended forward, and vanished into the night. The only student left behind was Alex. Until that moment, the reason for their departure remained a mystery. The following morning, Justine arrived at school as she normally would. She walked to her classroom calmly, but her tranquility was shattered upon opening the door. Only Alex was seated at a desk, the others had disappeared without a trace. The police quickly sprang into action, reviewing CCTV footage from each child's home. The recordings revealed that the children left their houses simultaneously, walked straight ahead and then vanished. The police also conducted interviews with Alex and Justine, but they found no answers to shed light on the mystery. There were no indications of strangers, no suspicious vehicles, and no evidence that could clarify the questions everyone had. As the situation deteriorated, the school ultimately closed for an entire month. A few weeks later, a large meeting took place involving the school, legal authorities, and the parents of the students. Principal Marcus Miller led the meeting, where the hall was filled with parents seeking an explanation. However, tensions escalated when many began to accuse Justine of being responsible for the children's disappearance. Accusations flew relentlessly, with claims that Justine must have said or done something that caused the children to leave. Justine attempted to convey that she had no knowledge of what happened and shared in their grief, but her words fell on deaf ears. Marcus endeavored to de-escalate the situation and shield Justine from the growing fury of the crowd. After that meeting, Justine's life changed drastically. Guilt and fear plunged her into a deepening depression. She attempted to alleviate her distress by purchasing bottles of drinks from a convenience store, but her efforts to find solace proved futile. Upon returning home, a new terror began to torment her. Her phone incessantly rang with calls from unknown numbers. The voice on the other end was menacing and insistent, heightening her unease. That night, the threat escalated. Someone pounded on her front door from the outside. Justine approached cautiously and opened the door, only to find no one there, just the enveloping darkness of the night. As she turned her gaze to her car, her heart sank. A bold spray-painted word marred the car's surface. Witch. The following morning, Justine attempted to scrub away the accusation from her car, but the paint stains persisted. A while later, Principal Marcus Miller had a conversation with her. He placed Justine on leave and advised her to temporarily leave town for her own safety due to increasing pressure from parents and residents. Justine declined, wanting to ensure Alex Lilly's well-being, the only student who hadn't vanished. Marcus stressed that Alex was still traumatized and urged Justine to leave all matters to the investigators who had already looked into the Lilly family home. This situation further tarnished her reputation among the community. Justine reported the threats and vandalism she had experienced to the police. That evening, she met up with her ex, Officer Paul Morgan. They went to a bar, despite Paul having given up drinking. The night ended with Justine in bed with him. The following morning, she drove him home. After school, Justine noticed Alex walking alone. She followed him to his house, rang the doorbell, but received no response. From the window, Justine observed Alex's parents sitting rigidly on the sofa, resembling statues. A sense of unease prompted her to leave and report her observations to Marcus. He instructed Justine to keep her distance from the Lilly family. While at the liquor store, Justine encountered Donna, Paul's wife, who was already aware of their affair. In a fit of rage, Donna splashed Justine with vodka until the store clerk intervened to stop the scene. That night, Justine experienced a nightmare where she found herself in a classroom at midnight, with all the students resting their heads on their desks. Alex looked up at her, his face adorned with frightening clown-like makeup. Justine woke up and in terror, noticed a red-headed woman clinging to her bedroom ceiling. The following day, she checked on Alex once more. He assured her he was fine but insisted that she stop following him. Despite his words, Justine spent the entire day watching the house from a distance, unable to shake off her growing suspicions. That night, she got intoxicated and fell asleep in her car. In the darkness, a woman emerged from the Lilly house, entered Justine's unlocked vehicle, and snipped off a piece of Justine's hair before silently leaving. The narrative then shifts to Archer, one of the parents of the victim. Ever since he viewed the CCTV footage showing his son Matthew exiting the house at 2:17 in an unusual manner, Archer has struggled to sleep peacefully. Each morning before heading to work, he would stand in front of the monitor, fixated on the segment of the recording where Matthew walked away. On that particular morning, Archer visited the local police station to inquire about the progress of the case involving the 17 missing children. The police chief informed him that his team was diligently working on it and had assigned a dedicated unit to address such cases. However, this explanation did little to ease Archer's concerns. His voice grew tense as he questioned what dedicated truly meant if Justine was still seen freely laughing and going about her life in town. He also brought up Justine's background, noting that she had been transferred between schools multiple times. The police responded that, as of now, there was no substantial evidence to label Justine as a suspect. At this point, the film revisits the night of the parents' meeting at school. As Marcus attempted to shield Justine from the crowd's fury, the camera tracked Archer's movements as he followed Justine from the mini-market to her home. This sequence revealed that Archer was the one who had written the word witch on Justine's car. That night, Archer had another dream. He was pursuing Matthew through a dark forest when, without warning, he found himself back in his own home, gazing up at the sky where a gun floated, marked with the time 2:17. He entered Matthew's room, stood by the bed and shared the affection he seldom expressed. When he pointed a flashlight, he was surprised to see a grinning woman with red hair. Seeking a discernible pattern, Archer visited the home of Gary and Erica Bailey. He persuaded Gary to show him their Ring camera footage. The outcome was the same. Their child ran in a straight line, without hesitation, just like Matthew. Archer then spread out a map and began marking potential routes, attempting to pinpoint a single destination as a meeting point. While at a gas station, he spotted Justine filling her tank. He approached with unresolved feelings, while Justine prepared for a potential attack. Principal Marcus Miller came rushing toward them with his arms wide open, and his body directed straight at Justine. Archer instinctively restrained Marcus. Justine dashed into the store for safety. Marcus thrashed and fought like a possessed individual, transforming the encounter from a typical confrontation into genuine horror. The timeline rewinds to Paul's day. While on the road, he noticed a young man named James attempting to break into a building. James panicked and fled. Paul pursued him, tackled him, and conducted a search. As he checked James's pocket, his finger was pricked by a used needle. Panic set in. Paul struck James forcefully. The dashcam captured the entire event. Paul urged James to leave Maybrook and never return.
I did you wrong. You did me wrong. I don't want to see you here again, okay? But if I see you out here again, it's going to be a different story.
The next day at the station, Locke reprimanded Paul for the incident involving James. Paul left, his emotions still running high. Outside, he spotted James walking toward the police station and immediately took off after him again. The narrative then shifts to James, the day before his encounter with Paul. Living in a tent in the woods, James struggled with addiction and survived by stealing and selling stolen items to a discreet counter. Following his confrontation with Paul, he began searching for a new target. He came across the Lilly family home, which appeared quiet, and decided to break in through an upstairs window. Once inside, he rummaged through the house for valuables, including a game console, and continued exploring other rooms. When he descended into the basement, he suddenly froze. Before him stood the 17 missing children, vacant and unresponsive. Mr. and Mrs. Lilly emerged from the shadows and approached him. In a panic, James fled, clutching some of the stolen items. While waiting for payment at the junk counter, he noticed an announcement offering a $50,000 reward for information regarding the missing children. Recalling what he had witnessed in the Lilly house, he resolved to report it. Trembling, he made his way to the police station. Paul spotted him and gave chase, following James back into the forest. At the forest's edge, near his tent, a red-haired woman waved from a distance. Filled with fear, James sprinted to his tent. Slowly, someone began to unzip James's tent. James stabbed Paul with a needle. Just as Paul was about to shoot him, James claimed he knew where the children were located. Paul handcuffed James and placed him in the car before speeding off to the Lilly family home. He entered the house to confirm James's claims. Hours passed without any sign of him. When Paul finally emerged, his expression was vacant and his movements seemed disoriented. He dragged James back into the Lilly family house. Meanwhile, at a supermarket, Marcus Miller was shopping with his husband Terry when Justine called to inform him about what she witnessed at the Lilly home. Marcus felt it was necessary to hold an official meeting and agreed to a schedule to meet with Alex and his parents on Monday. When Monday arrived, however, it was not the Lillys who showed up, but the red-haired woman seen from afar. She introduced herself as Aunt Gladys, a relative from Alex's mother's side, explaining that Alex's parents were unwell and unable to attend. At midday, Gladys arrived at Marcus and Terry's house while they were having lunch. She posed as a thirsty visitor and requested some water. Her request was strange because she specifically asked for a bowl. After receiving it, she sliced her palm, smeared blood onto a slender twig, then cut a lock of Terry's hair and wrapped it around the twig. When Marcus tried to call the police, Gladys rang a small bell. Marcus's body froze at once. Gladys snapped the twig, and Marcus instantly lost control. He spewed black fluid toward Terry and repeatedly smashed Terry's head until his face was unrecognizable. Gladys then pulled out a lock of Justine's hair she had brought with her, tied it to another twig, and snapped it. From that moment, Marcus was compelled to hunt Justine. Soon after, Marcus spotted Justine with Archer Graff in a store. He attacked without hesitation. Archer overpowered him and slammed his body against the beverage cooler. Marcus stumbled out of the store, wandered into the street, and was struck by a car. At the hospital, Justine and Archer reconciled and agreed to work together. Archer spread out a map marked with route lines taken from recordings of the children's movements at 217. Studying the pattern, Justine quickly recognized the central meeting point. Every path led to the Lilly family home. The story then shifts back to the days before the 17 children disappeared. At home, Alex's parents appear kind and caring. But one day they informed him that Aunt Gladys would be staying with them for a while because she was unwell. The woman's presence left Alex uneasy. That night, curiosity drove him to peek into his aunt's room. He discovered that Gladys's bright red hair was a wig. Beside her bed stood a small living tree that she tended carefully. In the days that followed, the atmosphere at home grew even stranger. One afternoon, when Alex returned, he found his parents sitting pale and vacant-eyed, while Gladys looked healthier than ever. Alarmed and frightened, Alex protested. Gladys responded by taking a thin braided twig and snapping it. Mr. and Mrs. Lilly began stabbing their own faces with forks over and over. The horrifying scene lasted long enough to scar Alex deeply. When she finally stopped them, Gladys warned Alex to stay silent. If he disobeyed, his parents would endure even worse suffering. From that point on, Alex became caretaker to his parents. He fed them and hid the truth from anyone who might suspect something was wrong. Meanwhile, Gladys began to weaken again. In a commanding voice, she ordered Alex to bring something from each of his classmates so she could regain her strength and eventually leave. Alex stole name tags from each student's locker. Gladys tore the name tags one by one, mixed them into a foul-smelling brew and chanted strange words. From this ritual, she summoned all the second-grade students to the Lilly home. Exactly at 2:17 a.m., the children awoke, stretched out their arms, and sleepwalked from their homes to the designated point. The event that would shake Maybrook began here. A few days later, the police summoned Alex and his parents. Only Alex's father appeared, clearly under Gladys's spell. When the police announced they would search the house, Gladys quickly erased all suspicious evidence and magically hid the victims. Investigators were misled, while Alex continued his routine of feeding his helpless parents and attending school as if nothing had happened. One day, Alex returned home to find a police car parked outside. But inside he discovered that Paul and James had also become lifeless, like his parents. Not long after, Alex woke from an afternoon nap. Looking out the window, he saw a car pull up to the house. Its passengers were Justine and Archer, following the meeting point traced on Archer's map. As they prepared to enter, a man waved his hand. Justine realized it was Paul. The two stepped from the car cautiously as Alex watched from the window. As soon as they entered, Paul attacked Justine. At the same time, Alex was chased by his parents, still under Gladys's control. Archer confronted James, who had also turned into a violent, mindless figure. Justine finally stopped Paul with a bullet to the head. Meanwhile, Archer discovered a hidden room in the house. Inside, Gladys kept the victims of her dark magic. Summoning his courage, Alex entered Gladys's room and found one of her magical objects. He tried to use it to reverse the curse, but Gladys only grew stronger. Justine was then forced to face Archer, who had begun falling under the woman's spell. Believing she had full control, Gladys advanced, only for Alex to fight back using the very methods he had learned from her. The power turned against her. The victims she once controlled turned on Gladys and tore her to pieces. With her death, all enchantment was broken. Those under her spell regained their senses. Archer finally reunited with his son Matthew and took him home. Justine found Alex with his parents, who had returned to their normal state, bringing the movie to the end. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos. See you in the next one.